Welcome back to the Nerd Theorists, and today I am coming at you with another deck tech, and this time we've got the big flying dragon that is the Dragon. Now, it's a fairly straightforward Dragon Tribe build, but it's one I've had some joy with, and if you've seen the most recent Game Nights episode, you're going to see it going absolutely bonkers. Let's have a look at the stats and then we'll talk about some of the cool interactions and synergies that we've got and some of the key dragons that we've got here. So, creatures, we got 34. Now, majority of them are dragons, but 4 of them are not. So that gives us 30 dragons, which is around the good mark for your tribal decks. That's where I aim to be. Enchantments, we're at 9. Artifacts, 8. Instants, 1, which is very, very low. But trust me, you're not going to need them. Sorceries, 8. And Planeswalkers, 3. All of which are Sarkhan. Land base, 36 total lands, 9 of which are basic, 27 non-basic, 5 of them enter tapped. So that's a little bit on the low side, especially when we look at it and say the average CMC is 3.97, which is a little bit deceptive on the face of it because now it's on the high side of what we want to do, but when we look at the commander, he's going to be reducing almost half of the spells we cast by 1 mana. With that, he's got that broken eminence ability. So when we take that into account, that's going to bring our number down to about 3.56, which is still on the high side, and that's why we're running a ramp score of 22, which brings me on to our key deck stats. Like I say, that ramp score is 22, so in that category you've got your 0.5 as Klauth, Unrivaled Ancient, Herald's Horn, Gadrak, the Crown Scourge, Savage Ventmaw, Reckless Barbarian, and Sarkhan Unbroken. And then in that category, you've also got your ones as your Sol Ring, Farseek, Ramp and Grow, Free Visits, Nature's Law, Security Dive, Elder Steve, Felwar Stone, Ancient Signet, Arcane Signet, more like, Smothering Tithe, Wayfarer's Bauble, Rivers of the Claw, Dragon Speaker Shaman, Orb of Dragonkind, Dragon's Horde, Sarkhan Fireblood, Frontier Siege, Scale Nurturer, and Chromatic Lantern. That was a mouthful. So you've got your usual suspects in there. You've got your Sol Ring, Arcane Signet, a few of the 2 CMC ramp and growth effects, 3 visits, whatnot. No reinventing the wheel there. But there are a couple of interesting pieces that are from recent sets which I think are worth mentioning. So you've got your Reckless Barbarian and your Scale Nurturer. Now, on the face of it, you'd sort of look at them and you'd discard them because they don't look playable. And in a non-Dragon tribal deck, I wouldn't be going anywhere near them. However, Reckless Barbarian, because of the broken Eminence ability, reads, pay 1 red, cast this Dragon Barbarian, sacrifice Reckless Barbarian, and add 2 red mana, netting you 1 red mana on the turn you play it, or you can play it early and save it for a few turns later when you want to cast a big fatty. We then have Scale Nurturer, who is just a better Elvish Mystic. He has tap, add a green. When you use this mana to cast a dragon creature spell, you gain 2 life. So that is just an Elvish Mystic with upside. Yeah, really good cards in the deck. Also worth mentioning is Frontier Siege, who doubles up as a bit of removal. So that's useful there, really useful in the ramp category. Let's take a look at draw. So draw, we got 16.5 as our score. Again, that's on the high side, but you're going to realise very quickly when you're playing this deck, nobody likes being swung at with a big fat flying dragon. So they're going to get removed a lot. But you're going to have enough to replenish that hand and keep going. So your 0.5s in here are Rivers of the Claw, Orb of the Dragonkind, Herald's Horn, Sarkhan Fireblood, Sarkhan's Triumph, Sign of the Ur-Dragon, and Core-Lesser Scaleslinger. The ones in here you've got Dragon's Horde, Ancient Silver Dragon, Worldly Tutor, Sylvan Library, Dragonborn Champion, Elemental Bond, Garruk's Uprising, Temur Ascendancy, and Kindred Discovery. So Realm Walker Tiamat, Sarkhan Unbroken, and Limerick Desert Doom, also in that category. Almost missed them ones there. The big ones in here, your big engines that are going to net you like 3, 4, 5 cards each game, possibly more. If you watch the game nights, you're going to see definitely more. But you've got your Elemental Bond, Temur Ascendancy, Garruk's Uprising, Dragonborn Champion, and then the All-Star in Tribal decks, Kindred Discovery. It's worth noting that Temur Ascendancy and Garruk's Uprising both have upsides on them, because Temur Ascendancy is going to give you creatures haste, and Garruk's Uprising is going to give them trample. Both really, really important keywords in this deck. I mean, you've got hasty big fat flyers coming at you. That's scary. You've also got a few tutor effects and tutor-like effects with Scion of the Air Dragon, Sarkhan's Triumph, and Worldly Tutor. And also a classic big bad evil guy from D&D, Tiamat. Let's talk about removal, which isn't quite as high as ramp or draw, but we sit at a score of 11.5, which is higher than where we're aiming to be, so that's good. Board wipes, you've got 2, you could argue 3, maybe 4. In the 0.5 in this category, we've got Ojutai, Soul of Winter, Sarkhan the Masterless, and Frontier Siege. The ones being Crux of Fate, Silmagar the Drifting Death, Dragonlord Ataka, Toxic Deluge, Sarkhan's Unsealing, Okagachi Vengeance Kami, Scourge of Valkas, Dragon Tempest, Scale Lord Reckoner, and Wrathful Red Dragon. Now, obviously, your Crux of Fate is an all-star removal piece, and that's going to be a one-sided board wipe in most games. Unless, of course, you are sat opposite another Dragon or Dragon Tribal deck, then it's not going to catch them. But for the most part, that's going to be a one-sided board wipe. Toxic Deluge, I really like that in the deck. Most of your dragons are going to be fatter than a lot of your opponent's creatures, so that's going to be one-sided a lot of the time. Dragon Tempest. This is a nutty card. Now, at certain stages of the game, later down the line, when you've got a big fat board of dragons, this isn't going to be creature removal, that's going to be player removal. I also really like Sarkhan's Unsealing, which is the one that you could argue is another board wipe piece. So most of our creatures, they're going to be power 4, 5, and 6. That's going to hit the 4 damage to any target, which is useful. The second part of this spell, when you cast a creature spell with power 7 or greater, Sarkhan's Unsealing deals 4 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they controls. It's not going to hit any of your stuff, it's going to hit all their stuff. And we've got, excluding the Air Dragon, 10 creatures that are going to trigger that. So you're going to hit that a couple of times you play it. All in all them stats, ramp, draw, removal, they're all looking pretty healthy in this deck. And I think what's clear is you're going to be wanting to be ramping as fast and as much as possible at the start, and then just start dropping fat dragon after fat dragon. Start just swinging them at people's faces. It's great. A few other things I want to mention. I really love D&D, and with Battle for Baldur's Gate, that brought us some really nice pieces. These are 3 of the D20 dragons. I don't have the other 2 in the deck. One because it's super expensive, and the other, I don't think the green one's that great, but these 3 are really cool. Now there's an awesome piece of interaction with Scion of the Air Dragon and Ancient Brass Dragon. So Scion of the Air Dragon, if you don't know, reads it's a Wooburg creature. It's a 4/4 flyer, dragon avatar. It's not the fun part. The fun part is you pay 2, search your library for a dragon permanent card, and put it into your graveyard. If you do, Scion of the Air Dragon becomes a copy of that card until end of turn. So you can pay 2, search for your Ancient Brass Dragon, put that into the graveyard. The Scion of the Air Dragon becomes a copy of it, and when the Scion connects as the Ancient Brass Dragon, you roll your d20, and you can put any number of target creature cards with total mana value X or less from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So as long as you hit a 7 or greater, you can get the Ancient Brass Dragon back from the graveyard straight away and just do it again on multiple turns. Anything you search for with your Scion, with that combination out, you're just going to get back straight away. Mirim Sentinel Worm, also in D&D Showcase art. she's really worth a mention now. She's come out a couple of the times that I've played this, and I can safely say she's absolutely bonkers. If you see this card on the other side of the battlefield to you, get rid of it, otherwise you are going to have problems. If we untap with this on the battlefield, things get out of control fast. Couple of new pieces from Dominaria United. My favourite being Rivers of the Claw, but we've got Shivan Devastator as well. Now for 3 mana, Rivers looks to be doing all sorts of good stuff. Being able to cast a dragon, I know it's only once per turn, but being able to cast a dragon from your graveyard is going to be, that's just going to be card advantage. Because, like I said before, your dragons will be getting removed a lot because no one likes being slapped in the face with a big fat 10/10. But this guy is going to let you get them back, and he's going to help by doing that by being a bit of a dorker himself, because he's got a tap and add 2 mana in any combination of colours and spend it to cast dragon creatures. Definitely gets a slot in a 99, and if I'm being honest, I'd be curious to see someone's deck list built around him, because I think from the command zone he'd be really cool. You could have sort of a mill strategy with him, fill your graveyard with dragons, and then bringing him back with his ability. Yeah, it could be really cool. It'd be a nice one to see. Shivan Devastator, on the other hand, well, it's just going to be a big, dumb, hasty boy, and a good mana sink towards the end of the game. So, I mean, if you've got open opponents with no flying blockers towards the end of the game, you've got maybe 9, 10, 11 mana, they're sat on low life, pump it all into him, swing away, and that could be one of them out. Not, if I'm being honest, I opened this guy in a Dominaria booster popping that you might have seen and thought, why not try him in the deck? I wouldn't go out of your way to try and get hold of one, because I don't think in Commander he's all that great, but I'm going to try him out, see what he's like. Lands, I'm not going to spend too much time on lands, it is important, but I know my mana land base, whatever you want to call it, could be better. I've got 8 fetches in there, because I only have 8 fetches. In a perfect world, you'd have all 10. You'd have as many old school jewels as you could, as many shocklands, all 10 of them. And then probably out of the triomes and the Capenna triples, you'd probably want all of the ones in there that could generate either red or green, because those are your 2 main colours in the deck. So yeah, there's also 3 lands that care about dragons as a creature type. You've got Temple of the Dragon Queen in the Showcase D&D module art, which is amazing. Haven of the Spirit Dragon, which that's going to be a 5-colour land, and then you've got the storage land that is for dragons, the Crucible of the Spirit Dragon. In your 5-colour decks, you tend to have your classics, your Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, City of Brass, Forbidden Orchard. Your tribal ones, you want to get Path of Ancestry in there, and if you've got it, because we're well above the tribal count, Cavern of Souls will be a good addition. That's the deck. It is big, it is strong, it is fast, and you play this thing, you're going to have fun. You're also going to get a bit of a target on your back, so bear that in mind. I love this deck, I love the tribe. I ran Dragon Tribal back in Tarkir Standard for a little bit, and it was fun deck. Big fan of D&D as well, so this deck speaks to me. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, stay nerdy.